Hello, Nick. You want to put your mic?
Hello.
Hi, excellent.
Hello, Nick.
How's it going?
Thank you. Fine, thank you. Nick, I'm assuming that you are presenting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have slide control.
Yeah. So someone just gave me slide control. Okay. So there actually aren't a lot of slides. Do we want to wait a minute or two
Yes,
for people to come in?
Okay. Yeah, let's wait a minute
Yeah.
or two.
All right.
Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Yes, c'est bon.
Okay, good.
Apparently, most of the working group is confident that Nick, that you and your team are doing the right things on the security document because they're not here. But
Yeah. I did see Tom Hill join, so there'll be no easy ride here.
nope, nope. That's good. The whole point of having an interim is to get the hard questions raised and discussed. And we have
Yes,
a couple of people who are good at that. I can see participating, and thank you to all of them. But I was just noticing the count and going, not your fault, Nick.
Yeah, I don't know. It's we've had trouble getting participation on the list too, so I don't know if that's either. I don't think it's disinterest. I want to think that it's like, oh, they just think we're doing the right thing, like you said. Let me know when you want me to.
Or simply regarding the absence of comments, that's because it's both vacation and the document is ready to go, right?
I mean, sure.
Yeah, I'm here to say, like, that things are going the right way, and like, we should just move forward quickly and like have it done. I think that's why I'm here. So at least.
We're now 5 minutes, a solid. No, it's only 4 minutes past. Wait one more minute, Nick, and then get started.
Okay. All right, it's 5 after. I'm gonna go ahead and start.
Before you start, let's do the sort of official opening to the thing.
Oh, right.
Please, even though it's a small number of people, Tom looks like he just fell off, but hopefully he'll be back. Nick has very few slides. We don't have any slides from the chairs because the only agenda item for this is discussing the security document. We know that all of you have probably looked at the draft and read it, and so we're looking for any more input. As you have seen, this is the second interim that we have on this topic, and we have been discussing it at every spring meeting. The goal remains that hopefully by the end of the year, maybe even before the next meeting, we'll be ready to go. Do the working group last call, etc. And every update has been sort of incremental, which I think is the other reason why this has been a good series of discussions. Especially last time we had a really good interim.
Reminder: note well apply. The note well applies to this meeting. We probably should have done one slide just to put the note well up. All of the rules and the regular note well that you all know apply to this meeting. So just reminding you of that. That's all.
Yes, thank you, Joel. Just so that I'm sure all of you have memorized the note well, but it talks about not just IPR and contributions. It talks about behavior and how to behave in working groups and how to be respectful and civil with everyone else. I think Tom is back. We have Safar also on the line, who's the shepherd for this document. So Safar, I was just saying that pursuant to the plan that we have for this, hopefully by the end of the year, maybe even before the next IETF, will be ready for a working group last call. So thank you everyone for all the comments and all the work that you've been doing so far. And so Nick, go ahead, take it away.
All right. So, as we've alluded to, this is the mid-cycle update for the SRv6 security document that we've been working on for, 2 years or so, 18 months, however long it's been. Since the last IETF, we took the suggestions from the meeting and added those in. We clarified the OAM details, which was one of the top things, and we added a PCCEC update thanks to Druv. And that I just said. There weren't a lot of comments from the from the last meeting, so I think we're getting closer to a pretty well-rounded document. And I think from the updates that we just made, and you can look at the diff in the data tracker, you can see that there wasn't a whole lot that changed. Basically, just those two things, and even those were fairly minor. But they did add some clarity, I think, that was missing. And because we went through and did, so we had a schedule of deliverables, and one of the biggest September deliverable was the management plane threat model attacks and mitigation, which we actually addressed before the last IETF. So we're a little bit ahead of the schedule with regard to what we had mapped out as the as the plan. So I guess Tal's got a go ahead. Tal's got a comment or a question here.
Right. So I agree with everything you said, and I think basically, in my opinion as well, we did most of the work in terms of the management plane, and mainly any comments and feedback are welcome about that. And I think since we slightly pulled in the schedule, we might be able to do kind of an internal review. By internal, I mean an author review. And after we do that iteration, I think it seems feasible to have to target in next IETF meeting to be hopefully ready for a working group last call. At least I think that's a good goal to set.
Yeah,
So
I
what
would tend to agree with that, Tal, that I think we're pretty close to that.
So what I would love is if we're going to be ready by November, I guess I want to challenge you to be ready before November. In other words, let's not wait till we meet in wherever we're meeting to start the last call. Maybe we can start it before.
Yep. If we could
and-
complete the working group last call on this just before the IETF meeting and hand it to the IESG, that would be great.
Yes. So I think
Now
that
we'll need to get a routing directorate review and IPR such like, but we should be trying to be a little aggressive. You guys have been great about getting this text together. Let's keep pushing. The sooner we can get it done, the better.
yes. So we're going to need a couple of things for that. Yes, we need maybe a little bit of other people in the working group participating and looking at things. If you have a list, even if it's a short list of 1 or 2 things that you want people to look at, please send an email to the list in the next couple of weeks. Say please look at the management section, or that we do the separation, because I noticed you clarified, and this was good, the separation between the control plane and the management plane, because it wasn't clear before, and I was a little bit confused. So I don't know, maybe that's something that you want people to take a look at, and make sure that they all understand and whatever. And the other thing that I think we're going to want, or not that I think we're going to, that we definitely need is Safar. You as Shepherd, I need you to start looking. Well, you've already looked at it, but look at the document, review it, publish a review, and start looking at the Shepherd write-up for this, so that we're ready with that as well. We can do, of course, a working group last call without the write-up, but it would be great if you give us your go-ahead as well to start a working group last call. Yes?
Yeah, you can count on that. Thank you very much. I'll
Okay,
do that.
thank you, Safar.
So yeah, I think that was kind of what I was gonna angle for was, because we were so we were ahead of schedule, would it be possible to sort of front load some of this prior to the IETF meeting? So we're in sync here on what I was hoping to hear. I think that from the author's perspective, and Tal can also correct me or add in anything he would like to add, is in addition to the author's review, I think it would be good for folks to look at it for readability. First of all, to make sure it flows correctly, because it's not a simple document. There's a lot of stuff in it. It would be good if the readability was high, and also go over like the last 2 or 3, at least the last 2 diffs, to make sure that the deliverables that we were looking to add are in fact addressed. I think they are, but extra eyes on that would be useful. Because, and that kind of goes back to the readability part too. We changed some structural stuff. I think it makes it better, but I also am close to it. So the more eyeballs we can get reading it, kind of end to end, I think the better we'll be off.
Right. So Drew just wrote something on the chat in section 11. You have topics for further consideration. I think some of these may have been addressed already, but so his question is, what's left, right?
Right. So sorry, I'm on the queue, but I'm going to go ahead and answer anyway. I think that most of them have probably been addressed, and we just need to review that section, including that list of open issues, and remove anything that's already been addressed. And what has not been addressed, we need to rethink. So we'll do that. I think, again, once we do the author review, one of the things is to remove unnecessary text like that and to see that the different sections are consistent. I think this will be the first priority in the upcoming couple of weeks.
Right, and just to refresh everyone's memory, including mine. So the thing we had agreed on at the very beginning is that this work would cover all the published RFCs, meaning, go back and look at security considerations for those, including, and we agreed about this at the very beginning, including compression, right, which wasn't an RFC when you started, but it is an RFC now. We probably won't publish anything more, or I don't think we'll, between now and November. And we won't hold you to any other RFCs, but we do need to cover up until that. Just again, so that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, like I was trying to point out that thing as well, Alvaro, right? Like, so there is stuff that's actually already in there, right? Like, so we can, so if you look at, like, for example, the upper layer checksum stuff, there's already text in there that's added. So I personally think that, like, this is ready to go. So, and the thing just needs to get cleaned up, because I think if you go down and start like new things, the document won't progress quickly, right? So I would think that, like, pretty much anything that we need to cover based on your criteria is like there, like in the draft as of now, right? So if you remember, Tal, right, the upper layer thing was added into the compression RFC, I think after IESG val or during IESG val. I don't remember exactly, but it does contain that thing already. So I'm with Dhruv, like, to go look at it. But I think, like, starting like something new, like, the management plane thread, like, unless it's like simple, I would just say, like, we should publish it, because, like, we cannot just keep this pending for a long time. If there's something that you already have like quick text for, I think it's good. Otherwise, like, we should get it moving and not have a moving target, like Alvaro was saying, right? Like, to not like keep the scope growing indefinitely, because there is like a compromise to be made here. Either we get something out quickly, like to make sure that people have something to reference and look at, and also cover enough of it to make it useful. I think we need to figure out like where that line is. And I think Dhruv might talk like with a service ops perspective, but that's what at least I think.
Yeah, hi, Suresh. I at least kind of agree with Alvaro that I think compression is a special case, and most of the things related to compression most already be there, but we can just relook. I don't want us to keep adding a lot of things, but I think it will be a missed opportunity if we completely disregard and say, oh yeah, compression is out of scope for this this security analysis.
No, I got it. I think Alvaro's point was like, if it's already covered in the RFC, so we should look at the security consideration of it and see what's left, right? So if there's like stuff that's been covered already, we should like leave it at that. Was, I think I understood as Alvaro's point.
Right. The point was that from the beginning we had agreed that it would cover all the published RFCs, and that we had agreed up until compression, because we were already on the path to publishing that. And now it has been published, so that's the last thing, right? We're not going to add anything after that. And again, that's the other reason why we've been pushing, so that we finish this as soon as possible, and we can have a scope creep of more stuff.
Correct. I have just one more comment on the management plane attacks. I wanted to understand: is this complete? Is like I'm unsure. I was thinking that this is still more text to be added for September, or is it complete? Like, from the authors, I want to hear that. Is this complete?
I think, in my opinion, it's complete, unless there are other opinions. But my first thought was that there's very little in SRv6 management plane, which is different from management plane in other routing protocols and in routing in general. And what we tried to do was kind of write a general threat and attack analysis of the management plane without going into all the details. And in my opinion, it seems to be the right kind of the right way to go, not to go too deep, because we don't need to go too deep into that, and not to avoid going into it at all. So it's kind of the sweet spot, in my opinion. But if you think otherwise, I'm happy to hear.
Yeah, I kind of agree that, like, as far as management plane is concerned, the security consideration for SRMPLS and SRv6 would overlap. Like, SRv6 specific management plane attacks are limited. The only thing that I could think of is anything related to network programmability that we don't have in SRMPLS. So anything which is very much specific to only can happen in an SRv6 network via YANG, you can modify, which you could not modify when you were in SRMPLS. So that would be the only angle I would look at.
So you think the text should actually be limited or reduced?
No, so what you have currently is, I think, enough details. I don't see any other except for network programmability. I have to just think it over, that is there anything specific from SRv6 SID network probability point of view that is a management plane attack that can happen, which will not happen in SRMPLS. So I have to still think about it, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Okay. So, yeah. So if you have any thoughts about that, we'll be happy to continue the discussion offline.
Tom, are you on the same topic as Drew, or do you mind if I just skip ahead of you for a second?
I was trying to pop in there and say something relevant
cool.
to that.
Go ahead.
There was
Go ahead, I'll wait.
So the concern that I had about the security considerations as they currently stand is that a lot of the drafts relate all the way back. If you follow it far enough, the network programming security considerations points to the the 9800 compressed SID list points to network programming security considerations section, and then that points back to 8402. So the problem is that all of these subsequent drafts, RFCs, have got security considerations that point back to the original segment routing guide, which is part of the reason why we're here. So we need to worry about that. The second part was just to echo what Drew said, which was that the management plane implications where we have intermediate routers potentially under potentially under management plane attacks to be able to, in the sense that they aren't necessarily going to be attacked from a remote device, or they aren't necessarily going to be attacked from a PCE or something similar, and they aren't necessarily going to be attacked by a controller or through a controller. We have to worry about this a little bit more because we have effectively designed the method for intermediate routers to play with the SID list and adjust it. So that is a really good point that Drew's made, I feel, and that is up until M&A becomes a thing, I think, still something that is only specific to SRv6 versus SRMPLS. So yeah, +1.
Okay, thanks. So Drew, I agree with your point, but I'm not sure if this is the document for that or not, right? So the IETF Spring SRv6 YANG draft, right? Like, is the one that should talk about this, no? Like, why do we have, looking at Alvaro's point, right? Like, that thing is still work in progress. I would just say, leave the YANG SRv6 stuff to there, right? Like, that would be my suggestion, rather than holding this up, right? So that is kind of where I was thinking. Did you want to say something, Drew, or?
Yeah, I'm just thinking aloud. So yeah, I think I kind of agree with you that if it is specifically adding a normative reference to something in the YANG, that we definitely don't want, but a generic statement about, like, unique things related to SRv6, which won't happen in SRMPLS. That was something that I wanted, to be said in a much more generic way, because right now the current text is very, very generic. It just says that every writable thing from SR, in a YANG model can be done, which is true. I'm not saying that it's incorrect, but I think this is the document that should highlight things which are very specific to SRv6, and I think we are missing that part in the management section. We are handling it in everywhere else. Only in the management, I think there could be things which are unique, as Tom was also saying. But I think, yeah, I can think about this more offline, that most minimal set of text that we can add in the section that can handle that comment. I don't want to really add too much. I agree.
No, sounds good. That's fine. And I think, like, the expanding it on the Yang draft would be good. Like I think, like, I share Tom's point too, right? Where it says, like, it just basically has a network ACM and network programming reference in there. So probably that requires a little bit more work in the Yang draft. But having a high level text which says, like, hey, there might be some specific things you need to look at, and they're described in this Spring SRv6 Yang draft, could be a good way of doing it.
Right. So I haven't been putting myself in the queue, but now I did.
Alvaro, we can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me.
We can't. I can barely tell you're talking.
How about now? Does this work
There,
at all? No?
that fixed it.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So I was saying that I don't know what I was saying. Oh, Tom said something that reminded me of something else, which is everything sort of points back to 8402. 8402, yeah. And we need to figure out what the relationship of this draft is to the others. Should we update them? And maybe only 8402, I don't know. I'm sure we're not wanting to completely change anything, but if we're adding things that were not somewhere else, we need to think about that.
At least, I mean, there's a lot of ambiguity on the updates tag, but since I don't believe it changes or invalidates any text in the other documents, I don't believe the updates relationship captures the relationship we want, which unfortunately means there is no metadata tag we can use to say, by the way, this is building on those other things.
Right. And, there's the, in section 2, for example, and I don't want to talk about the tags because unfortunately, the only tag that we have is updates, right? Because the only other one that exists is obsolete, and clearly that's not what we want to do here. So that's the only one we have. So to me, the question is, do we want to indicate in the metadata some relationship or not? Or do we want to just rely on whatever's in the text in the draft? And one of the things in the text of the draft is that in section 2 is the scope. It says the following RFCs were selected for security assessment. And so it lists the RFCs. So what does that mean? Does that mean, and maybe all we need to do is explain there that we are, I don't know, complementing whatever the word we want to choose. But I think there needs to be something that explains that. And again, maybe updates is not the best word, it's the only word we have. So if we want to indicate something, we need to something more than just text. We need to use that. But that's the one thing I would like to see in section 2, a little bit more in there.
So let me see if I understand. So we want there to be a an anchor point or a reference to the other documents and in relation to 8402, but we don't believe that, well, nothing's being changed, right? So update isn't appropriate. Am I understanding that right?
Well, we could argue about that forever. Because
I definitely don't want to start Nick, any kind of religious debate.
The important point is to be clear about what this document is, how this document relates to 8402 and I've lost the number, but the base SRv6 specification, and that what we're doing is specifying additional security considerations over and above the ones there.
Okay.
Yes,
So
and maybe
given-
the
given
word
the
is
Spelling it out. Exactly how we indicated. Beyond that, I'm not worried about. We can discuss later.
Okay.
I happen to be of the opinion that we should not abuse updates, but that's not the important point. The important point is for you guys, please enhance the text to make this clear in the text, whatever we do about market.
Okay, understand.
Yeah, I agree with like Joel as well. Like make the text a bit clearer. The updates thing is like a pretty bad minefield in general. Like I tried to work on this, and I know Alvaro, you remember this. You were like also involved in this initially, right? We tried like trying to have like more stuff in there. It doesn't exist, and using we don't have any way of like making past RFCs reference like later things, right? I think that is the bigger issue here, and I think it's a harder problem to solve. Like so, just putting in updates there does not personally make sense to me, but I think like clarifying with like what Joel said like totally makes sense to me, and we can see like how we move forward with that. But I posted the name of a draft. Like Miriam and I tried like for a while to like do something to enhance this. This is like at least like 10 years old, and we never managed to get anywhere. So we don't really have a mechanism. I'm totally with Alvaro that like that somehow we should point to it. But I think right now the only pointer we have is like to talk about more texture, and like from the working group page people can look and see like we are updating the or providing new not updating but providing new security information for the 8402.
Yep. I think I get what you're saying. Yep. We can work on that. I've got that written down as a deliverable.
Okay. I didn't mean to kill the conversation, but anything else anyone wants to bring up, or Nick, Tal, you guys want to point at?
I don't have anything additional. This has been exactly what I was looking for. So thank you to everybody for participating. This is very useful. Tal, did you have anything to add?
No, I think you summarized it pretty well, and I think we have some work to do, but I think it's pretty clear now what we want to do and what we want to achieve in the next couple of months.
Thanks, Nick and Tal. So, like, I think the one thing probably depending on the authors is to figure out how the management thing works, and probably to check with Dhruv. And I don't mind commenting on it either. Like Dhruv said, he wanted to think about it, but maybe if you can talk about how we split up the stuff between this and the Yang document, how to place that in context, I think that'll be good. I'm glad to help either offline or online, or it's a GitHub issue.
Yeah, any of that is useful. I think especially any type of GitHub issues or PRs that you're willing to put in. We would welcome any of that participation from anyone here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. So if we don't have anything else, thank you, everyone. This is exactly what we're looking for. Some good discussion back and forth, a lot more time than we get at the in-person meetings. So again, to sort of recap what the commitment we sort of made is we want to drive this to start the last call, maybe even finish it before the next IETF. And for that, we need a couple of things. One is maybe a message to the list of any outstanding questions or things that you want the group to look at. And so far, you're going to do a chapter review, and then when you believe you're ready, we'll start the working group last call. Okay, seeing that no one said no, thank you so much, and we'll see everyone in Montreal.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joel.